podcast where we are live on the Recyard every Wednesday night. Hey, everybody. And that was Toonchi sliding into her chair just as the introduction was completing. As always, she has left me on edge, wondering if she's going to show up or what's going to happen. But you know what, Toonch? I want to say, if something happened and you weren't here, we'd still have a good time.
Well, I'm not so sure if that's true. I'm just not. I just don't believe that.
It might not be as good of a time, but we've got some pretty awesome people that are here every week, and I feel like we would have a good time. We are live on the Recyard Women's Prison podcast. I'm Marci Marie. And that's your cue, Toonchi. You didn't hear because your earpiece wasn't in. But this is my co-host, Toonchi.
The Toonch. The Toonch.
The Toonch. Why did I want to say the Toonchinator?
Yeah, I mean, you can say that too. I mean, it sounded kind of
like roar, like something ready to. That's when we go to legislation next session. That's what I'm going to refer to you as. The Toonchinator.
You should. I mean, you did tell them that one time they made us pull it back till it was.
That's how you're going to start the show? People, well, they did. They did tell us that. And it was disrespectful and out of line and wrong. So we actually, guys, we already have some great folks in the chat. We see you guys. We're happy you're here. Department of Corruption Stories, thank you for taking such sweet care of our chat every week. We appreciate you so much. Thank you all for hitting that like button, hitting those hearts, commenting, sharing the live. We appreciate all of those things. If you're listening wherever you hear your favorite podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, you guys be sure and leave us a review. We would appreciate that so much. So we actually had a show lined up with our good friend Pamela Bryant, who is the founder of Walking by Faith Prison Ministries. Pamela got very ill today, and actually I saw just a moment ago she posted that she was on her way to the hospital. She was she sent us the sweetest video, and if I thought she would approve, I would play it for you guys because it's so authentic and not to be here with us. And then her little voice, she just sounds terrible. So we apologize for the game change, but when we record live, this is the kind of thing that we have to be prepared and be swift and on our feet and
swift.
Yeah. Oh, see, I said the swift word. Did that make you think about Taylor?
Everything makes me think about Taylor. I can't wait to tell y'all my highlight.
Okay, well, let's get to that. You guys be prepared. We're going to talk about a couple of current events, but we're going to do a Q&A. I'm pulling up some of my favorite questions off of my TikTok app, guys, and you guys can help us answer those. And you guys get in the chat and be asking some questions. So be thinking in your mind, let's just have a good time and be relaxed tonight. And Pamela's going to come back. She's promised us, and she really wants to be here. And I'm excited for her to be here. She's a really fun, passionate lady, and y'all, she's just right off the Recyard, and unapologetically right off the Recyard, and she's our people. So we look forward to that. But before we get to the show, hey, Toonchi, let's do a weekly recap. I don't know. Was it janky on your end?
Well, I'm going to be real honest with you, honey. Your video quality is not the best tonight. And
I wonder if you had come on time.
I don't know how this is turning into my fault.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. It's because for some reason my internet is unplugged and I'm hooked up to the wrong internet. But, we didn't have time to make those kind of text before we got started. I
Oh,
wonder if I wonder if I hook it up while you tell us about your, what you wanna tell us about your weekend. Do you think I could figure out how to do that?
I
I mean,
mean,
it'll just leave you by yourself, and I'm sorry.
fine.
I apologize in advance to everyone. Let's do
It's
it.
okay.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Well,
So
try and see if you can fix it. I'll handle
okay.
it. Okay.
Alright.
Okay. It's just me. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It is me, and I usually am the problem. So my highlight was that Sunday morning, the LBJ library slash museum, or maybe it's just the museum. Maybe I made up the library part. So they have this special exhibit right now that is showing like artifacts and relics through music history, starting back way back in the day. And so there was some really cool little stuff on display. There was some lyrics that Tupac had written. There was Elvis's one of his outfits. Just all kinds of cool little stuff. Madonna's wedding dress when she was on performing like a virgin on MTV. But at the end, right at the end there, and if you saw the picture I posted on Facebook, was an outfit that Taylor Swift had worn during the Reputation tour, and one of her guitars and her knee-high boots. And it was, I couldn't touch the glass, but that was the closest I've been to Miss Swift, and it was an absolute delight. Now, the other important update was that went out to see a very dear friend that a lot of us know in this space. Her name is Belinda Ramirez. She was released from prison after 33 years. 33 years from the time she was a very young woman. And it was a really delight to see her. Several of us went out, me and Mandy and Lori and Helen and Kath, just a whole group of us went out there. She lives out in the country, and just sat with her and ate. She made us enchiladas, which I'd always told her, Belinda, when you get out, you're going to have to make me deviled eggs and enchiladas because that's what she would make me. I've known Belinda since we were kids, since I was a kid at least. She was in her 20s, but she always looked out for me. She was always the one. Like y'all have seen Orange is the New Black, right? You know that character Red, that she's just this very strong-willed kind of matriarchal figure in the show that people, like she's that's so much Belinda. But so it was really good to see her, and she's a little overwhelmed right now, but that should be expected when you do a lot of time. Her internet's not all that great out in the country, but we're just excited to see her home, and after so long. So we actually worked with the UT parole clinic over the past, it's been a while. It took, 2-3 years. And we worked with them to correct her sentencing, which really, thank God, the integrity unit at Bexar County saw the error in her case and fixed her time, because they were going to make her do another 15 years after having done 28 to see parole again. So got that done, got that taken care of, and she made parole, and she's home. And Marci's back. And the video quality is just fucking weird.
It's horrible. It's horrible, and it's because something is going on. You guys know I live out in the sticks, so I used to have to travel to town to record, but I got Starlink, and so we have both services, which is why I didn't notice that mine was out, and I used it this morning. I remember this morning, but let me tell y'all, I cleaned my floors, and when I cleaned my floors, I was moving everything, and then I noticed the router had got knocked over, and I just left it there like I was just still cleaning, and I don't know what to do. The router, it doesn't have a power button, so I unplugged it and plugged it, and I looked at my little app. Anyways, y'all, sorry. This is sorry. Sorry, our guest is not working out. Sorry that my video is horrible tonight. But you know what? We're here and we're doing the dang thing. And while
Hey,
we're on that note, yeah.
well, I was just going to say, as long as people can hear your voice, people will stay. If the audio is garbage, people are like, I can't deal with this because I can't, I can't hear what you're saying. Um, People will hang in there with us. So, girl, everybody knows what you look like.
I'm so sorry. This is horrible. This is absolutely nutso. But I am getting this video of Belinda because I do want to play it for y'all. Because it's really incredible. So I'm going to get that together while we talk about my week. Did I do anything this week?
Did you? You did, didn't you? Was it y'all's Dallas event, or
We
did you already
did.
talk about that?
No, we didn't. What did we do? Oh,
Wasn't
we
that
went to
last Friday?
it was the right how could I forget that? It was a great event hosted by dream.org and the Right Cause Urban Youth Conservation. And it was the Day of Empathy, Texas. And so we were really happy to be there. I got to be on a panel. It was a really interesting dynamic. When they asked me to be on the panel, they wanted to hear my stories as they relate to clean slate legislation and how that would help me personally. And I immediately emailed them back and was like, you know what? I came home with a lot of privilege, a lot more than most people getting out of prison have. So, how about we get my prison daughter on the panel because she knows a thing or two about how record expungement would help her. And so they countered with, "How about you both be on the panel?" So I was on this panel with two people that had gotten out of prison and basically come home to nothing, right? And had trouble with everything because of their records. And then another gentleman who had never been system impacted directly, but indirectly. And so he watched family and everything struggle. And so he started an organization. And then it was me. So they're asking questions like, what resources were available for you when you got home, and these other two gentlemen are like, nothing. Nyala's like, nothing. There was nothing. And I thought, well, the resources that I came home to were my family already in place. I came home to a family with homes and jobs and vehicles. There are people, you guys don't realize how hard it is for someone getting out of prison, even to make it to the parole office. Sometimes they don't have their driver's license, they don't have a vehicle. These these are the kind of things that we need to fix. So anyways, it was a really interesting dynamic, huge turnout. Linus had a table and we had, y'all, formerly incarcerated women were in the house that night. We had such a massive turnout for Lioness. I just loved it. People were coming up to me like, this is your group? This is your group? I'm like, yeah, this is us. This is us. So it was really incredible. I was so honored to be a part of it. And yeah, it was amazing. I'm going to, in just a minute, for sure put the Right Cause their social media handles on there because you guys will want to follow them. They're out of Dallas. They're a newer organization, but they're doing big things. So I'm really excited for that. And Toonchi's private messaging me that they're in the chat, and I'm so discombobulated because my internet is off. That I see you, Toonch, but I do not see their message. I'm literally scrolling, y'all, looking for it. There it is. So, hi. So they're co-founded by Sean and Sade Wright. Yeah, it was just a good night, man. I was really excited for it. And Niala, who you all have met before, and if you're ever on my social media, you see she's there. She's fallen in love with their organization and with them, and I'm just really excited about things that we're going on. So I think besides changing diapers, that was the highlight of my week, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, those were big highlights. That was a great event. I love the pictures and the community, and then a group of us were able to see Belinda and spend time with her, and um, and then I got to see Taylor Swift's outfit. Like, what a joy!
it was a really good week. It really was. Yeah, I was just I really it was a big highlight. I wanted my wife to come and she wanted to be there, and Brittany wasn't able to because because the kids, right? We just didn't have childcare, and that's going to happen sometimes. But we do have an event coming up this weekend, right?
We do, yeah.
You're going to come stay with us.
Uh-huh. I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And that is the Abolish the Death Penalty Conference in Fort Worth. And I always love when things happen in Fort Worth. I love when my folks, my hometown, start to organize and get busy. It's really exciting for me, so I'm looking forward to that. Me and Toonch will be there, and then we have another thing next week. We'll be in Houston.
Yes, that's right. And I will be here in Austin before I drive down there with Mandy at the Women's Storybook Project luncheon, and then headed to Houston with you to do the one there. So it'll be a busy week elevating moms and incarcerated moms and their kids and that wonderful program.
I'm looking forward to that, and we'll be together Wednesday night, and we'll see how the internet in the hotel is. We'll
That'll
make
be
something
interesting.
happen. We can't let today pass without talking about Ivan Can Too. And so thank you, Laurie, for bringing that up. She said that Laurie says that her heart is heavy because she just finished the virtual vigil for Ivan Cantu, who was sentenced to death and put to death. I'm probably not saying that right. Yeah. He was
murdered by the state.
right. Yeah. Yes, he was. So thank you, Laurie, for bringing that up. There was a text campaign today, and we have such a good group of advocates here in our state that fight until the last moment, and so we recognize all of you, and we know that all of you are feeling that heaviness, and just know that Toonch and I are with you with that for sure. For sure. Thank you, Laurie, for bringing that up. We see Peaches is in the chat. Crystal Butler's in the chat. And Carrie says, Toon is on tonight because you were by yourself for a moment. I'm not sure. Are we looking to donate? Is there a way to donate to who? And I'm sorry that I wasn't keeping up with the chat on time. So get back with me and tell me who, because yes, everybody we work with is nonprofit and mostly volunteer. So everybody takes donations, and it takes a community to get some of the work done that we get done. So absolutely, I just need to know who, and I'll direct you to the right spot. And yes, speedy recovery for Pamela Bryant. For those of you just tuning in, our guest is in the hospital this evening. She was not feeling well at about 3 o'clock. She kept thinking she was going to make it. And finally, about 3 o'clock, she just knew it wasn't going to happen. So Department of Corrections is saying I'm a little blur. And I'm sorry, my internet, I don't know how to fix it. I thought that I was going to leave Toonch, and she started to sing. I almost came right back on. Can we try this? Can we play Belinda's
Yeah,
Can you
let's do it. Can you?
I'm gonna try it. Let me see if I
Okay.
did it right.
All right.
Hello, my name is Belinda
There's no
Ramirez.
picture.
I was locked up.
You don't see a picture?
It was moving real slow. Let me try to do it. See if I
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Do you want me to text it to you?
No, I know where to find it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Beverly. Yes, major prayers for Ivan Cantu, the family, the community, and everybody that advocated for him for sure. So I see Lavernon, my good friend. Lavernon spent almost 3 decades in the penitentiary, and he's with us tonight. Thank you, thank you. And I'm glad my sound is working. I appreciate you guys so much. Anthony, I see you, another power advocate in the house. Uh, Randolph, good to see you. Love you, but love you much. Love you much. Sorry, guys. Sorry. We are out of control tonight. Um, and any way you want to support our organization, for certain, social media is a must. Sharing posts, we have calls to action. You want to make sure you're following us on all of the platforms, and that's the easiest way to get involved, and that's kind of the first steps, right? So for sure, KK, we see you. Lexi, we see you. Thanks so much. Okay, we have a comment. It says, I was so blessed my PO came to me at the police station across the street. I have loads of family and super smart people to get me started, and the electronics still frustrate me. For sure. Yeah. Re-entering any kind of technology still gets me. And that's the first thing that we have to kind of be aware of when we're working in such a digital world. And I work from home, so it's all virtual. So when I'm talking to people that are just getting out of prison, it's like, hey, let's get on the phone and we'll walk through how to get on the Zoom, or we'll walk through how to do some things, because it's something that's not. But for sure, yeah, loads of family to help you get started. That's a big privilege, right? And it's not one that everybody has. Uh, and I see Josh. I know you just popped in. I don't know if you're still here, but love you, Josh. He is with, and I hope I don't mess up his business, but he connects formerly incarcerated people with viable employment, and I mean big jobs. I don't just mean, hey, I'm going to stick you, and there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's or working wherever you need to work to get started and pay your bills. My first job was Sonic, and I'm not downing on it, but he's going to connect you with bigger employment. He wants to, if you have an education or a skill, he wants to connect you with a job that uses that. So anyways, and he's also on the board at the Second Chancer Foundation. Love you, Josh. Okay, let's see if this works.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Do it. Do I need to do it?
You need to allow it on the screen. Yeah.
Oh, I see. There it is. Okay.
Okay. Let me go over here and make sure his sound's on. Okay.
My name is Belinda Ramirez. I was locked up, incarcerated for 33 years. I got out 2 weeks ago. If I wouldn't have had my friends, my former incarcerated friends, help me out and support me mentally, I don't know where I would be for real. Because of people like that, people like me get to really experience the freedom and liberty that we're supposed to have. I am very blessed to have my former incarcerated friends, everybody, the whole lioness that has been there for me. And we also have people who sponsor us, who are there for the lioness. And if it wouldn't be for them all coming together, this wouldn't be. I just want to tell y'all thank you. Thank you, lioness. Thank you, everybody who is out there, former incarcerated people that is down for us. Thank you.
Love it so much. And you went to that, and I'm texting you and Mandy and another one of Linus ladies and our friend, and I'm saying, hey, see if you can get Belinda on tape. Just kind of saying what it means to be a member of Lioness and what it means kind of coming home to this community. And I was expecting like, hey, I'm here with Belinda, something like that. And I was expecting her to be just a little timid, but she hit that hoe. She did such a beautiful job. When you sent me that video, I was like, oh my gosh, she's made for this.
I mean, Belinda, she was like, "Oh, what do you got me doing?" She said, "No, I want to do it. I want to do it. Like, what do I say?" And I said, "Well, just tell people what this means to you, like, you know." And she was a little nervous or whatever, but yeah. And Belinda's, she's she's the type of person that, you know, she might be nervous or not know about something, but she gonna do it. You know, and she just, it was such a beautiful time. You know, I was really grateful to be there with her, and you know, Lori went with me, and Mandy, and Helen and Catherine, and just, you know, and then Belinda's aunt was there, and it just, it was really
No,
overwhelming. Hello? You scared the shit out of me.
my dog. This is the worst time for me. I thought
Woo!
I was on mute.
Oh, shit, you scared the fuck out of me.
I thought I was on mute.
Like, girl, that made my heart seize because I was in a very vulnerable moment of sharing a vulnerable memory. And so when you did that, it felt like something was happening, like somebody was breaking in or something. Oh, I was like, oh my God, there's something that's going to happen right here on screen.
And then from your neighbor, it was probably a little PTSD because you recently had an event happen at your apartments, and I feel like I contributed to that.
That
I'm
made
so
my chest
sorry.
hurt.
I'm so sorry.
I want you to get your shit together to not miss.
I don't know. This was set up for craziness tonight. When Pam got sick, and then I don't know how this internet, I clearly did something to it when I knocked it over, and now I don't know what. So
Carrie said Marcy brought out the voice. And poor Miss Jerry's like, what just happened?
I'm so
And
sorry.
Marcy's acting out tonight. She's acting out.
I really am. Hi, Shannon. And you were really talking really sweet, and I'm so sorry. Golly.
Yeah, because my son, I want to tell you how traumatized my brain is that because it's not just like yelling out like no all of a sudden. It was the tone of your voice. So it was like, my immediate thought was someone just busted in the house. Like somebody just came in and busted in the house. And, you know, I'm going to take it all the way and play the tape all the way out to some really crazy, like people just broke in looking for money. Like
I had one time a pre-prison Marcy. In fact, I was still married to my first husband, and the kids were little. We had a Suburban that had like the TV, and it had a little like a. I almost think it was old enough that it was a VCR and not even a DVD player. I don't really remember, but anyways, it was hooked up, like it was a nice little thing, and I was so comfortable in my little world that I left my purse in the car often. And even more naive, ridiculous me, left my debit card. I kept it in the where the sunglasses go, and
Mhm.
you know, I kept it there for drive through, and I mean, it was just ridiculous. So anyways, we get my cell phone is in my purse in the car, and we still have a landline. Like we're still, it's that long ago. And we're in bed, sound asleep, and my cell phone, I mean, the landline rings, and I look at the caller ID, and it's my cell phone. So at first I thought, oh, my phone's in the bed, and me or Josh, we must have rolled over on it or something, right? And then it clicked. No, it's in the car. Somebody's in my car. And I wake him up. I'm like, get up. Somebody's in my car. Like somebody's got my phone. He's like, huh, I'm not going out there. And he didn't. So I grab a baseball bat and I go open my door, and our driveway was like in the back. We were on a corner lot. And so I go out the back door with this baseball bat, and I just gave it that deep, hey, like just this, get away, go. And they jumped in this truck and drove off. But they drove off with my purse, with my phone, they had stripped. They had been out there a minute. And what had happened is that one of them accidentally hit a button on the phone in the middle of all of that, and it called the last number. Anyway, so that's where I learned that voice. And so I use it for the dogs. It makes them listen better.
It's somebody's breaking in voice, right?
Yes.
Because when
Yeah.
I was living in Henderson, y'all, I lived out in East Texas, my own little apartment, right next to the woods. Okay. So you could hear gunshots at night, but sometimes it wasn't clear if people were out there hunting or people were getting shot. I don't know. Because at nighttime, that apartment complex became something else. Anyway, I had, was real poor working at Subway and Goodwill, and all I had was an air mattress. Okay. So I had, those, the blinds that are like vertical, you twist the thing and they turn like this. Okay.
Right. I'm with you.
Oh boy. So like I had to rig my windows to lock, like put the stick in them and stuff, like to hold them in place so they wouldn't open. So it was just, wasn't the best place, right? Well, anyway, one of those blinds fell off. And so I taped it back up there. Okay. So I taped it back up there. Anyway, I'm laying there and I sleep real light. You already know, Marci, that I don't sleep well. And I had a baseball bat. One day I'll bring it. I'll show it. It's a little softball bat. I bought at Goodwill. So I kept it by my bed, by my mattress. Well, this is how much PTSD we have, is that in the middle of the night, that blind, the tape fell off, and so it fell into the other blinds. And I swear to God, it sounded like somebody coming through them. And just the second that noise happened, I rolled off of that air mattress, grabbed that baseball bat, and it was that deep voice. I said, "You get your motherfucking ass out of here." Like loud, screaming. And I was holding that bat, like shaking. The thing hadn't even fallen all the way to the ground yet. And my heart was like, doo, 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 doo. And I was girl, I just sat there and laughed my ass off. Like, I am so embarrassed, and it's just me in this room. Like, it was immediate. There was no thinking. I just automatically did it. And it was that deep voice. Hey.
It's instinct. It's instinct. We've been asked where to donate to incarcerated people. So there are a few organizations, and so the question is, where do we donate to incarcerated folks? And of course, we're in Texas, so I know how to donate to incarcerated Texans. Carrie S. is bringing up that TPCA, which is Texas Prison Community Advocates, takes donations for cooling towels to send into the prison system. But on my website, which it just goes to my LinkedIn. It's not a fancy website, but if you go there, within the first 2 or 3 buttons, there are 2 organizations that we can verify that the monies that go to those organizations go to actual products, which are hygiene items that go to actual incarcerated women in Texas. The reason we know is because we have received items from these organizations while we were incarcerated. So it's very viable. The 2 organizations is one called Syndio Ministries, and their drive is Christmas in White. And that is an operation run by formerly incarcerated and exonerated Hannah Overton. And then the second one was our guest that was going to be tonight, that's in the hospital. She is the founder of Walking by Faith Prison Ministries, and she also buys hygiene items. You can donate actual items to her, or you can donate money. And so both of their links are in they're right there. Just go to my little website, which just pops over to my link tree. In the first few buttons, you see them. So definitely do that. Thank you for asking. That's an incredible question. I promised you guys that I would get you guys the social media handles for the Right Cause Urban Youth Conservation, and this is it. On all of the platforms, this is how to find them. This is how to connect with them. They aim to mentor and provide resources for youth coming out of incarceration, for younger people coming out of incarceration. They have a lot of experience with direct and indirect system impact, right? So good people. I'm so happy to have met them. You guys want to follow them on everything. I want to get to, we have some questions. Cynthia's here. Hi, Cynthia.
I want to know what little emoji Steven put in the chat. I can't figure out what it is. Is it a little piece of candy? Is it a little bat? What is that? It's underneath your comment there about the death penalty conference.
I'm so behind that I can't even find that, girl. I don't know. Steve. I have no idea.
I don't understand why it won't let me be a co-host in the sense that I can help you with the chats and do stuff in the chat. Have we not figured that out?
I don't know. And maybe it would let me. Maybe there's a button that allows that. It should.
Boy, this is like our first episode. If y'all haven't seen that first episode, it's worth going back.
Please go look at the first about 3 episodes, and you will realize how far we've come. Even watching this episode, you'll realize it. We promised we would answer some questions. So first of all, if you guys have questions that we haven't addressed, please do. Please do ask whatever you like. Ask away. And I'm going to open up my TikTok account because I've been getting some doozies, girl. And so let's answer some of them. Heck, assuming that my internet will handle me on my phone and here. Hey, I want to talk about this too. First of all, Cynthia Bala says her son is at Clemens Unit and they're on lockdown due to the wildfires. And that's something else that we did this week, and I can't believe we didn't bring it up. I mean, we just did it 2 days ago. We just left Bryan, Texas yesterday. So Monday night, we did meet with some ladies they were currently housed in the halfway house in Bryan, Texas. And we talked about this very thing. What happens to incarcerated people in the event of a natural disaster? How is that handled? And it's so interesting. They're on lockdown, which means they're just still there.
Yeah.
Right?
They're just sitting there. And what'll happen is TDCJ will literally wait till the last minute before they evacuate people if they're going to.
If they do. That's the question. KK says that's the biggest wildlife in history in Texas history. So sending big prayers. He said the fires are, her son in the Clemens Unit said the fires are under control now, but the smoke and smell is unbearable. And what is happening to these men on the Clemens Unit that are inhaling all of this smoke? This is why we're doing that project, that research project with Texas A&M to bring stories just like this forward and to hopefully change policies and legislation when it comes to incarcerated people and protecting their lives and the lives of the staff.
Right.
Well, this is, That hurts my heart so bad. And then Department of Corruption stories. Now he's in Oregon. This is Stephen Parker, and he says they had a wildfire a few months ago, and the prisons just put the guys on lockdown. Cynthia says her son, has been covering his head with his sheet and blanket because of his asthma. You know what that reminds me of when they spray the chemical? Remember how bad? And I can imagine if he's doing that to try to filter the air. That's how we used to do when somebody would spray in the dorm, overspray, and you felt like you couldn't breathe, because when you were in cell block, sometimes when you were in the dorm, they would take everybody to the rec yard and let you breathe a little.
Marci, I remember when people would get sprayed, and we're not talking about like just the little can of mace you would have on your keychain. We're talking about it is a canister, and they would spray them in cell block, Marci, and we would smell it in D dorm and C dorm at Mountain View, which is pretty decent, good ways away from cell block. And cell block doesn't have open windows, right? So it's just coming out from the front of the building. That is how bad and how intense that sometimes getting sprayed like that would be.
Cynthia, I'd love to do a video about that. Would you message me? I see that you're watching from Facebook. If you message me on Facebook, and I won't put your name in a video, but let's try to get some exposure to that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Atma Meek did his time at Clemens, and this is another powerhouse advocate and our friend. So thank you for those warm words. Gosh, so sad, and scary and frightening, right? Because those are people's sons and daughters and brothers and sisters, and they are people. So, what about, did you look at any of that stuff that they're saying in Kentucky about all those officers that got fired? Have you seen that?
I did. I don't, my emotional capacity after our focus group the other night has been at its top, right? Like it's filled. Because
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about emergencies and what, and it just took me back there. I had a hard time sleeping that night, and then talking about it now, and then seeing, this is happening in real time. And anyway, I did see that, and I just haven't really focused on it as much.
I think that you brought that up, and we should address that. It's not just that these men on the Clemens unit are maybe covering their heads with blankets, or, maybe they're doing different things. Maybe their head's close to the air vent if there's airflow where they're at, or maybe they've got the fan on their face, or, the different, whatever they're doing to help them not inhale as much smoke, or even mentally feel like they're not inhaling as much smoke. But the mental anguish of being in a position where you are seeing flames out of a window and smelling smoke, and you're locked down. You're locked in a room where you have zero control over if you're going to survive or not. I mean that's just part of it, right? It's not just the physical. It's not just that this gentleman has asthma, and it's not just that. It's also that there's a fire close enough that the smoke is bothering the people that they're breathing it in, and they have no control. They don't know when it's under control. They don't know. And apparently he was told it was under control, which means he had a decent staff member in his dorm, because some of those staff members will not give updates. Nothing.
Right. And that adds to the stress. And that was something that we had talked about is, this, inability to do anything, right? What do they say? You're just sitting duck, right? Like you're just at someone else's mercy. And staff usually doesn't tell you what's going on. And if they do, I mean, I don't know if I always trusted them when they did tell us. I always, how we just, and this is another thing that will wear your spirit out, and you just can't stop doing it, because I still can't stop doing it. You are looking at the guards. And I saw a video that somebody said this about flight attendants. Like when there's turbulence, they look to the flight attendants. Is she worried? Oh, okay. She's not worried. So that turbulence must be normal. So I'm okay. And it's when that flight attendant's face looks nervous, you're like, oh, something's wrong. And, it was a funny video, right? Because I think everybody kind of does that. Imagine doing that all the time, all day long, with looking at staff. So when staff, and I think you saw that too, right, Marci, when during COVID, is like, yeah, something's wrong. Like they're being weird, like the looks on their face and like their mannerisms. And so you were constantly with this hyper vigilance, constantly monitoring, because you can't trust what they say out of their mouth. You can't trust if the warden comes in and says everything's under control, don't worry about it. But you're looking at your officer and they're just like, then you already know. Okay, well, they're lying. Something's wrong. And it's
Clearly.
just like that wearing, like that. I don't think people realize how much energy emotionally and mentally they can be exhausted, like it's exhausting. It wears on you.
Even when there wasn't some kind of whatever, even when there wasn't COVID, even when there wasn't a bad storm outside, even when it wasn't icy conditions outside, you still were hyper vigilant in watching what the officers were doing, because they controlled the mood of the dorm. When I came home, I remember having to break myself I worked at Amazon, and I remember watching my supervisor everywhere he went on the floor. Like I was just super focused on what he and his PA, his assistant, was doing, and how that was going to affect me. And I remember having to tell tell myself, like, Marci, chill out. You're just here working. Like, you don't have to watch them all the time. And you also watch them all the time so that if your neighbor needed a bar of soap and you needed to hand it to her, you knew if it was a good time or not. Like, it just for minor things like that. So, yeah. Oh, Barbara says that it snowed ashes on the rec yard one night from fires very close. I can't imagine. I had one. I was in cell block and there was an electrical fire. And it was small flames, but it was more like spark. But it was really smoky and the smell was really bad. But it filled the dorm with smoky, and we were in our cells, and they called the fire department. And when the fire department got there, they were like, why are these ladies still in here? That's right. When they chose to bring us out. The staff, it never even occurred to them to get us out. The fire department had to come and say, what are they? And then we're just taken out to a rec yard, fenced in right by the building. It's so crazy how it all works. So thank you for that, Department of Corrections, and thank you guys for hitting the like and for chatting and hanging out with this poor internet service and our guest sick and me yelling at the dogs and all of that good things. But yeah, this is and that is the reason we're doing some of that work. And you're right, Toonch, hearing those ladies fresh out of prison, being so vulnerable and trusting us with their stories, and in a way that very much was triggering for us. And just seeing some of that raw emotion from them, it's things that sometimes we kind of tuck away. And then when they're talking about it, it brings all that up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Somebody who's watching on Facebook, probably in our Lioness group maybe, says, remember the fire drill team at Mountain View.
That's Miss Jerry. And y'all, if you're watching from the private Facebook Lioness group, it is a private group, so it won't highlight your name. If you'd like your name highlighted, you gotta watch from the public platforms. But yes, I remember that. And I remember we would have to do fire drills. And we didn't do them. Let me tell you something. At the other units I've been in, we never did them. Never. And a lot of stuff at Mountain View was a little bit more by the book and a little bit more protocol. But a lot of times, even when I worked in the risk management office, a lot of that stuff he just would sign. Like, well, we can't have a missing piece of paperwork, so just create one and sign it for me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just because you weren't having them doesn't mean that the paperwork didn't show that you weren't.
Right. And a lot of time it was, okay, grab your ID, everybody outside, it's a fire drill. And my thing was always, it was no real direction about what to do. It was just they opened the door and said, everybody line up. Bed book order.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, ugh. And Marci hadn't even heard that term since I don't think I've said that out loud. Bed book order, grab your eye. Oh, geez. Did y'all have to be in bed book order all the time?
We had to be in bed book order several times, but I'm remembering a fire drill, and we had a lieutenant who was pretty, let me just say, she was a bitch. She was hateful. Okay. She was ugly. She made people feel bad about themselves. She was one of those officers that if someone was in some kind of mental health issue and upset, and I've heard this lady just, her kids, my kids, my kids. And this lady, this incarcerated woman was in full crises. She needed help at that moment. They should have been calling psych and getting her help. But that's not the answer, right? The answer is handcuffs and solitary confinement. And as the lieutenant is handcuffing this lady, she's telling her, you didn't care about your kids in the world. If you cared about your kids, you wouldn't be in prison. Just completely exacerbating this mental health crisis. So I don't like this lady. I don't throw around that B word in a serious way often. And when I say it, it's because I feel it. She was hateful and mean. And we had the fire marshal come and do a fire drill. And they did it in my dorm. And so they get everybody, they're telling us to grab our ID, line up in bed book order. We all are headed to the rec door, and she runs to the rec door and she doesn't have the key. And she's looking around and she goes to the picket. Well, the keys are in admin, ma'am, and anyway, she had to run to admin to a whole nother building and come back. And of course we failed that. Of course the fire marshal's just standing there. Wow. And I remember thinking, wow, we would be burning up or smoke or whatever. If it had been an electrical fire, we might have not burned up because there's so much concrete and metal, but the smoke inhalation would have been horrible. But I don't remember any other fire drill. Any other time we ever had to leave was because someone had died in the dorm, or we got put out to the rec yard one time because 2 officers were fist fighting, and we had to line up in bed book order. But these are the kind of incidents. I don't remember. There was not much preparation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So. Well, Marci, we're coming down to about 6 minutes, and I would like to maybe get closer to ending with a happy, fun story.
Let's hear it.
A prison story related to the fire hoses. Now, I don't remember because it's been a long time since I've been at Murray, but did Murray have the fire hoses on the wall? Okay. Well,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, we did, because actually I don't remember. Henley did, and part of my job at Henley was to test those.
Yes. So at Mountain View and at Crane in the day room, they're right there. I mean, they're just right there next to you. There's the water fountain, and they're on the wall right there. And now I'm gonna tell the story, and I hope she don't get me for it, but it's just a fun, good story, and it speaks to why we all loved Belinda so much. She's crazy, like she's crazy. So I'm in the back bedroom, which is a little bedroom that was to the side. The main bedroom, the day room, and then a little back bedroom that used to be what we would call the clothing room. It used to have the washer and dryer in there, but that was a long time ago. Now there's beds in there. And so there was a lady. Her name was Amy. She was a bigger woman. She was sweet, but at the same time, she was kind of a bully. It just depended. She was just one of those. It's just hard to describe. Very stubborn. And so I believe that I was trying to watch something on TV. And she was like, no, I'm not. I've been sitting here. And she had all her shit on the bench. No, y'all aren't sitting here. No. And I was like getting frustrated because it was something that was like really important for us to watch. We'd been waiting or something. And she was getting real booky with me. And Belinda was there getting her water. And she said, Belinda calls me Woody from Toy Story. And that was my original OG nickname before Toonchi. And she said, hey, because Belinda kept the dorm under control, Marci. She said, hey, what's going on? I said, man, I don't know. Everybody was mad at Amy. She wouldn't move her shit. And I said, she just took my seat. Like, we're not going to watch this. I guess I'm just going to go back because I'm fixing to get mad. And she said, it was faster than any of us could think. And she said, hey, hold up. You're not going to mess with motherfucking Woody like that. They want to watch the program. She pulled it, turned it on, and hosed her full blast. And she said, what? And she was screaming, get up, ho, get up.
Oh
and
my
I am like, the water has hit me, and it's like hit me up against the wall. And she goes, Woody, I'm sorry, baby. Just take it. I'm sorry. And she was like, just blasted because I was on the other side of Amy. So Amy grabbed me and I said, get on me, let go of me. And so she's just hosing her with this. And the officer is in the picket going, Ramirez, stop. And she goes, you let go of Woody. And just cussing her out. I mean, just giving her the business. And those hoses are powerful. Hurts. And she was taking it, and she finally let me go, and Belinda hosed all that shit off the bench. And so she wraps it up. By the time the keys are in the door, Belinda has grabbed the mop out of that little closet right there, and she's mopping. And the officer said, what the hell is going on? She said, and Belinda is she's just so unique. She's like, hey, we just had an incident now. It's okay. We got it under control. There was a leak. There was all this water. We don't know. And Amy's like, yes, ma'am. It just, I don't know. It just happened. It was just, I'm gathering up my stuff. Oh, everybody's cleaning up like it was just some thing that happened. The officer was a little confused. She wasn't sure. And everybody's cleaning the water up.
That's one thing I'll say. Even if you're plexed up, even if it's not your friend and maybe your enemy, not that there are just a whole lot of enemies in there, but even if it's that situation, when it comes to getting in trouble, people will stick together with their stories. I have been toe to toe with somebody, and then we had to act like we were best friends. When we got caught up, got sent to medical, we're laughing, joking with each other. And we were just moments sharing like blow for blow. And that's just how you do it. I love that. And that's a great Belinda story.
So many more stories that hopefully Belinda can share herself one day, but it was so sudden, Marci. It was so sudden, and she just hosed all that shit off the bench.
I love it. I love it. Para Woman Radio, thanks for joining us again. We sure have loved you joining in. She says it sounds like a scene from Orange is the New Black. And it really does sound made up. I love it. So next week we will be recording together. You're going to be in Houston in time for that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, honey, because it's at 7:00. Surely I can make it to H-Town by 7.
Well, I hope so. Okay, good. So we'll be together, guys. We'll see you guys next week. We'll be live in the same room, and that's going to be fun. And thanks for hitting the like, share button, comments, all that good stuff, reviews. What is it, Toonch?
And then the next week we should have Pam on.
Yes. I asked her about the 13th, and so that's the plan, and we haven't forgotten about her, and she is really sorry. We love you all. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will be right back here, same time, same place, together live on the Recyard Women's Prison Podcast, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. See you then. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on the Recyard Women's Prison Podcast with Marci Marie and